If you work at a nonprofit, a hospital, or a university, and HR has mentioned a 457F plan, here's what you should know. It can let those who have access to it set far more aside than a normal retirement account allows, and it also comes with a catch that you should be aware of. Before I jump in, my name is Brett Swisher. I'm a former Vanguard financial advisor and a CFP at Sturkey Wealth Management. All right, getting into it, a 457F is a non qualified deferred compensation plan. And to put it in layman's terms, it's a promise from your employer to pay you money later on top of your regular retirement. Only certain employers can offer one. And that's going to look like tax exempt nonprofits like hospitals, universities, and charities, plus other government entities. And it's only really for a small group at the top. The IRS calls them a select group of management or highly compensated employees. And again, to put it in layman's terms, that means executives, senior physicians, coaches, and similar roles. People sometimes call these top hat plans. This is a form of compensation that could be described as golden handcuffs. And I like to think of the 457F almost as the nonprofit version of restricted stock units or RSUs. So the headline feature here is that there is no annual dollar limit. A regular 403B or 457B caps you at roughly $23,000 a year. The 457F can hold far more because it plays by a different set of rules. So, the defining rule here is that the money has to be subject to what the IRS calls substantial risk of forfeiture. That means you only keep it if you meet certain conditions, usually staying for a set number of years or hitting specific performance goals. Until you meet these conditions, the money is not truly yours. If you leave early, you can forfeit the whole thing. And if you take nothing else from this video, remember this next piece. You are taxed the moment the risk goes away, which is the moment that you vest, even if no cash has actually been paid to you yet. So technically, you could owe an income tax on a large sum in a year where you have not received a penny of it. And this is exactly why a real 457F statement can look strange. You might see a balance in the tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting right next to a vested balance of zero. The balance is growing, and at the same time, it is still technically fully forfeitable. So, why do nonprofits bother with this at all? And it goes back to why any company offers any type of employee benefit: recruiting and retention. So, this is a piece I find interesting. A for profit company can hand an executive stock options or company equity. A nonprofit hospital cannot do that. So, the 457F is one of the few tools they have that they can use to compete for top talent. So, much like an RSU or other types of equity compensation, this type of compensation can be referred to as golden handcuffs. Employers also tend to fund these with their own contributions. So, the upside: what is genuinely good about the 457F? Contribution ceiling is huge, which means serious tax deferred savings for a high earner who has already maxed out the standard plans. Growth is tax deferred while you wait to vest. There's no 10% early withdrawal penalty like one of 401k carries before the age of 59 and a half. And for the right executive who plans to stay put, it can be a meaningful boost to retirement income on top of a 403B and a 457B. So the risks here. First is obviously forfeiture. Leave before you vest or miss a performance target and the balance can disappear. It's not technically yours, at least in the eyes of the IRS. Which brings me to the next point: the tax bill can be large and badly timed. Because the tax hits at vesting, a big amount can land in your income all in one year, often pushing you to the top bracket, sometimes before you even hold the cash. You're going to want to make sure that your current plan is designed around this vesting schedule and that you're going to be able to cover the tax whenever it comes through. Also, your money isn't protected the same way a normal retirement account is. The balance stays the employer's asset until it's paid out. If the organization goes bankrupt, you stand in line with other creditors. This often isn't the biggest worry for these accounts, as they're often held by large government affiliated organizations and healthcare companies. However, it is something to be aware of. Also, according to my research, there seems to be some ongoing regulatory uncertainty. The IRS has had proposed rules reconciling these sections in the works for years, and they're still not final, so the ground can shift a little bit. So, if a 457F is on the table, here are a couple smart questions to ask. First, not really a question, but as a general rule of thumb, you'll want to max your regular 403B and 457B if available first. They're a bit simpler and the money is better protected. Second, you're going to want to ask exactly when you vest and what events can cause you to forfeit. And on that statement, you don't want a surprise tax bill, and then you don't want to count on money that isn't going to be yours in the end. Run the numbers with your own CPA or a fee only advisor before you count on this money. So, a quick recap: a 457F is an executive deferred compensation plan that nonprofits and government employees use to attract and keep top talent. It lets high earners save well and beyond the normal limits. The trade offs are a substantial risk of forfeiture, taxation at vesting, and exposure to the employer's creditors. One important note: this video is general education and it is not financial, tax, or legal advice. Confirm the details of your specific plan with your HR department and the plan administrator, and talk to your own advisor before you rely on it. If you'd like to discuss this with a professional, this is something we do all the time. We're happy to help you build a financial plan around a 457F and their vesting schedules. I hope this was helpful. Have a good rest of your day.